Hello and welcome. The media is the eyes and ears of the world, so attempts at muzzling it is akin to making the world go blind and deaf. That's a borrowed quote from President Muhammadu Buhari's Press Freedom Day speech of 2016. In 2020, what has changed? Well, you have the answer to that. But what is more critical is to ask what happens when politics and journalism mix. Today on the program, I try to distill the truth, if possible, from this mix. Welcome, I am Bukola Samuel-Wemimo. Let's take a moment. Welcome to Fireworks. My guest today is a journalist, activist, and the man who has only in recent times become a household name, having spent 179 days in detention. Agba Jalingo, welcome to Fireworks.
So it's a pleasure.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank God you're back.
Yes.
How does it feel to be back?
It's awesome. At least I missed everybody, including you, including my wife for 6 months. It's a long time.
Yes, I recall we spoke just before news about your arrest broke. In fact, the day we spoke, you were at the airport, I believe.
That's correct.
You said I should call you back. Okay, take us through, maybe the high points. I know I've heard that you're writing your book, the high points of your time in detention. What was most profound for you?
There were several occasions that were quite profound for me, and first and foremost, but the most dramatic for me, not just dramatic, the most emotional was when I lost my younger brother. When I got the news that my younger brother had died, it was perhaps the only day that I cried in jail. I was very emotional. We had gotten a lot of plans put together. He was always coming every day to see me, and he wasn't sick. Suddenly took ill and he died. I was very
sorry to hear that.
And after then, but at every other time, I spent a lot of time reading, praying, exercising my system, and to make sure I keep illness away from me, because that was the last thing I wanted to happen to me in jail, to break down. And then generally, I'm related with the inmates a lot too, because I was going around trying to nose around and see what was really going on in the yard. Then I was also doing my work while I was in jail. I had cameras, I had things I was using to keep records.
You were allowed to do all of that?
I wasn't allowed to. I was just doing my work undercover.
Okay, Agba,
yeah.
We've heard a lot about the prison system and how it is. How did you keep your mind intact?
Naturally, I'm a very happy person.
In that kind of environment?
Yes, I'm a very happy person, naturally. And I've learned to deal with adversity. And I anticipated my arrest, so I had prepared for it mentally. I knew they had already threatened they were going to arrest me left, right, center, so I made up my mind, yes. And even a day before, I knew they were around my neighborhood, because they called me while I was in Abuja, and I also got some intel that they were coming for me. So I had already programmed my head mentally that I was going to also try to deal with this. It was a mind game between me and the people that were coming after me. And then while I was in jail, I made sure I filled every time with activity. I didn't want to just leave any lull in the volume of activities that I was going through in prison. Even when they lock us up, we still had games, we had Scrabble, we had Ludo, we could play all those things. And I just made sure I used every minute and tried the best I could to make myself happy, knowing very well also that those who locked me up wanted to see me broken. So I also needed to wear that picture that I was wearing with my signature smile that the public always saw in court. That helped me to deal with the...
Interesting. I'm beginning to pick some lessons there, but we'll talk about lessons later. Okay. Let's now get to what took you to... Well, maybe what we understand led to your detention. Your report headlined how Ayadi approved and diverted 500 million naira for Cross River Microfinance Bank.
Yes.
It's a bold one. What informed it?
Initially, even before now, money was earmarked to open one Obudu Microfinance Bank in 2017. That money was diverted and embezzled, and they now earmarked another 500 million naira to open a Cross River State Microfinance Bank. And then they gathered about 500 youths, Cross River youths, at the Cultural Center in Calabar to do training, entrepreneurship training, after which they promised to give them small loans to start their businesses. We followed that event up, we covered it in the seminar, and after 3 days, what we noticed was that it took about 6 months, they weren't going to answer these people, and they later gave them long-reach products, toothpaste, mosquito repellents to go and sell. on the streets. And my initial curiosity was, this is not the loans that these people were promised. So we took interest in that's what ignited our interest in investigating whether the bank was working or not. They actually rented an office along the same street where our office, Cross River Watch, is located as well. I sent some of our reporters undercover to go there and collect account opening forms. Let us see whether this bank is actually existing. And we went there repeatedly. And from our own findings, it was only a building with 2 human beings that report there every morning. No banking activity was going on there. And further investigation by myself and my own team, we found out that that money was actually diverted. There was no bank going on anywhere. It was the same thing like the previous bank. And I called the governor privately to ask him about what was going on in that place. But rather than give answers, as it is characteristic of him, he became very hostile. And I now said, no, I'm an activist. I'm not just a journalist. I'm not going to lose my voice because the governor is my brother. Let me talk. Since you will not listen in private, let me go public with the matter. And when I went public, he had promised he was going to lock me up. But I'm sure of my facts. What I expected was the police inviting me and maybe him and say, okay,
did your investigators speak with the youths to confirm that indeed they didn't access funds? How would you know that they didn't access funds?
We did all of that.
But you didn't quote that in your report. Your report just, you know, started and ended with the fact, well, your account that the 500 million naira had been diverted and that nobody was accessing funds anywhere. For an investigative story, would have liked to hear from youths quoted and transcribed that they had not accessed funds.
A single write of a single story cannot explain all the investigations you gather about a particular.
So what is Cross River Watch about?
There were supposed to be a lot of follow-ups about that particular report, but 10 days after I wrote that, I was arrested. And then all that the public was now talking about is how I was going to be released. But I'm still ready to not just to investigate that story, to bring out further details about how that money was diverted. We have our information. We did a lot of interviews with people. And even those that helped, facilitated the procurement of that loan from UBA. Because the money, the 500 million naira was actually going to be a loan from UBA to power the bank. And that did not, the money was collected and diverted. I insist that we have our facts.
And you have records that the money was collected?
Yes. And we're still going
bank
to bring
records?
Those facts, yes, bring those facts to the public. Yes.
Bank records?
We will do that, yes.
Okay, we're waiting to see that.
We will do that.
This governor, Cross River State governor, you happen to have a relationship with him?
That's correct.
Prior to the story about 500 million naira being diverted.
Very correct.
So, how did things turn Ori?
Well, I don't even want to look at it that things really turned Ori, because the governor, after the PDP primaries in 2015, when J.D. Agba was kicked out and Governor Yadi became the governorship candidate of PDP, a party I have never at any point support, and I still don't support. I saw it as an obligation, because since the creation of Cross River State, nobody from where we come from, the part of Cross River where we come from, Cross River North, has ever been governor. So we thought that it was an opportunity for the northern part of the state to at least tell the state that we have become governor, and my expectations were very high that Uduman was going to do something. But I supported the governor until he became governor. And after 4 years, it was clear to me really that my governor, the level of excitement having become governor wasn't subsiding. And nothing was on the ground to show for his governorship, not even in Udu where we come from. Sometime last year, I got information, intelligent information, that 4.3 billion naira was withdrawn from the local government funds for the conduct of election, the second term campaign. I called him on the phone. I asked him. He did not deny that he didn't withdraw the money. He said yes, but he withdrew the money for what he called quick win projects in the 18 local governments. He appointed caretaker committees for the local governments, and then he said he wanted to use the money to do projects. I said, where are the projects? We need to go on the project tour and see what he did with the 4.3 billion. He sent his deputy governor, Professor Variso, to go on that tour, which later turned out to be a national embarrassment actually, because all we saw was traffic lights, diesel power generators that he was using to power communities. It actually became an embarrassment. But he got angry at that point and said, oh, you are my brother, you can't be doing this to me. But these are public policy issues. They are not family issues. When we get to the village, you can talk about family issues. These are public policy issues. He was really upset. And I didn't stop there. We went to court. It was because we were on holiday. We decided to go and file an action in the vacation court in Port Harcourt to secure an injunction barring the governor from using local government funds pending the conduct of local government elections. But my position was organize local government elections. When you became governor, you met elected chairman for 5 months. But for 5 years now you've been governor, you don't want to conduct local government elections, and you are just messing around with the funds. He said I wanted to tell him how to run the state. And that was how the problem started. And he sent me a text message, which I have already published on Sarah Reporters, promising that he was going to confront me with the facts, arrest me, and send me to jail. And the microfinance bank 500 million naira was just what broke the camel's back. He couldn't take it anymore. You
are obviously very close to the governor.
Yes,
it appears from your narrative that you are a phone call away from the governor.
That's correct.
Not every journalist enjoys that kind of access to a state governor. Am I correct?
I am close to him, not because I'm a journalist.
And when he spoke with the press, he said you are his brother from Obudu. You're from the same place. Yes, and he also, let's bring a bit of background to what may have happened. He said, today please ask Agba Jalingo that Cross River Watch, the first person to give him money to set up the office was myself. His official vehicle, it was me. I don't have to list all of this. He knows I have funded and supported him, but journalism stops where blackmail becomes part of your strategy. If the governor had done all of this for you, why didn't you explore other means of reaching him to get him to do what you want him to do for the people of Cross River State?
Let me debunk those lies. He has funded and rented the office for Cross River Watch. Cross River Watch started in 2012. Governor Yadi was not governor. Our first office, we started with an office in IBB. It was, in fact, we couldn't rent an office. A lawyer friend of ours, Barrister James Sibo, had to let out a part of his office for us in 2012. By 2013, we were able to rent our office. And that office is the office we're using today. He wasn't governor. I don't know where in his imagination he's feeling that.
But he says he has WhatsApp records
no,
of the communication between both of you.
Yes, he wasn't governor. He started that office in 2012. We have our documents. He was not governor. How did he rent the office for us? I'm still wondering. And that's why we need to still ask him for that. So when he said he bought the vehicle, let me also explain. In 2015, when he did his campaign, he had a couple of Sienna buses that he bought and used for the campaign. After the campaign, the Association of Cross River Online Journalists, ACROJ, because we had to register another association. We didn't want to work with the NUJ. And then when we opened that association, we approached him to help us with the vehicle. And he donated one of those old Sienna buses that he used for his campaign to the association. And the vehicle today is written there, Association of Cross River Online Journalists. This vehicle was donated by Senator Professor Ben Ayade. And as I sit down here, till today as I talk, I have not driven that vehicle.
Did he also support you to become a distributor of innocent vehicles in Cross River State?
Do you need support from a governor to become a distributor? It was after I got the distributorship contract that I went to him, just like I go to every other state government in Nigeria, to look for who will buy. Government is the highest buyer of vehicles in Nigeria. And when I got that distributorship, I knew that yes, I'm dealing with the Taraba state government, the Ekiti state government, they are all our clients. And I went to my governor, can you buy vehicles from me?
He has not supported you financially in any other way?
Governor Ade, like I said, he's my brother. When my mother died, for instance, he sent a very big delegation to come represent me in my mother's burial because he was in Canada. And the chief of staff came with quite a big delegation with a cash donation of 50,000 naira. There have also been occasions where
did he give you money to set up a computer school, as he claimed?
I don't have a computer school. So I don't know what he means by that. I don't have a computer school. So whatever he's talking, maybe he was talking about somebody else. He even said he was sending money for my upkeep in prison. And I have said that whoever was collecting that money should bring the money for me because I came back from prison broke. It didn't get to me in prison.
So besides all these things that he has raised, Governor Ayade has not supported you financially in a way to affect your reportage of the way he handles governance in Cross River State.
Every year we have what we call, we have our annual lecture, Cross River Watch annual lecture. The Dialogue with Agba Jalingo is a radio program that I host in Calabar. We do a quarterly town hall. And we do these things at Transcorp Hotel. Most times when these events are coming, I can call him up and say, ah, bros, can you help us procure the venue? He will pay for the venue for us. Even I don't know how they do it, but he has, on several occasions, he has helped me to do all of that. And one way or the other, all of this contributed to growing what we are doing. But unless the governor feels that he was doing all of that as a sort of bribe to me, because I know that in the budgetary allocation for Cross River State every year, what they call assistance to citizens in the budget is even higher than some ministries. And when I ask for procurement of these venues and all of that, my expectation is that it's not Governor Ayade that I'm asking for that help from. it is the Cross River State government. And if they support the growth of the media in the state, unless they see it as a form of bribe, I repeat, it shouldn't stop me from doing my work. And that's exactly what I decided to do. If only I had compromised my journalistic principles after getting something from Governor Yadi, that's the only time I will feel guilty. I stay with the public issues, and I will continue to do that, making sure I dug after his heels as far as issues of accountability are concerned, because there's a lot of sleaze and corruption going on in his government. And I will not keep quiet because the man is my brother. The truth is that he doesn't want to be accountable. He wants to run our state like a monarch. And let me also tell you, Buki, I'm not the only one that Governor Yadi has arrested. When I was in APC and was criticizing him very ferociously, he chased him out of town and he started living in Abuja. For months, they couldn't see him. A month after that, the governor trailed Paul Ifere, another critic of his administration, to Abuja. He was just like me, the way they arrested me from Lagos. In a Gestapo manner, they invited him to a police station, handcuffed him, and drove him by road from Abuja to Calabar. And he was arraigned in a magistrate court for writing things against Governor Yadi. I was only one of the several persons that Governor Yadi has arrested. And I should also tell you that there are 3 journalists on trial in Cross River State. Not only me. Jonathan Ugba, the news editor of Cross River Watch, Jeremiah Chibon, the managing editor of Cross River Watch, and Nicholas Kalu, the Cross River correspondent of the Nation newspaper, were arrested in August. In the middle of the night, the governor requested that Nicholas Kalu of the Nation should be released, and the other 2 were charged to court, and they are still on trial until now as we talk, just for going to do their work. So I'm saying this to tell you that the governor is a consummate dictator. He doesn't want anybody to criticize him. He's only looking for excuses.
Agba, I have more questions about whether you are using blackmail as a tool against Governor Yadi or not, but that'll be after the break. My guest today is journalist, activist, and the publisher of Cross River Watch, Agba Jalingo. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Thank you for staying tuned to Fireworks. If you've just joined us, you've missed quite a lot. My guest today is journalist, activist, and publisher of Cross River Watch, Agba Jalingo. We're reviewing events leading to his arrest on August the 22nd, 2019, and how he came to spend 179 days in detention. Agba, thank you for your time so far and for all these clarifications. We would also still like to hear from Governor Yadi himself, so the narrative is not one-sided. We'll return to your explanation about the BBC report on the former First Lady. But if indeed you do not use blackmail as a tool in the course of your profession, where does your politics come in? You are the chairman of the AAC party in Cross River State, Omoyele Showore's party. So is this a strategy to position you for a political ambition in the near future? A political office, rather? I
will answer you. If I need a political office, I will contest elections with the best of practices. But I want to tell you that I have sat down to ask myself, for instance, that 5 years after my brother became governor, he doesn't want to conduct local government elections. He's messing around with our funds. And you know the rotational system that we use in our politics. It is most likely that the next governor of my state could be an Efik man, somebody from the Southern Senatorial District. I sit down and ask myself every now and then, if I'm not able to challenge my brother, when an Efik man becomes governor, where will I find the balls to ask that person questions? They will simply say, you didn't ask your brother, why are you doing this? They are the ones that could allege blackmail. That is where my politics comes in. I accepted that role in AAC because I wanted to play a part in how our state is being governed. Not necessarily from the position of being in government as a state actor, but even from outside. And my brother finds that very insolent. He's still looking at me like that my small brother somewhere who grew up in the village selling akara. That's how he's still looking at me. And I'm also trying to tell him that I'm above 40, I'm an adult, and I can question you. That is what is going on. That is where my politics comes in. This thing has nothing to do with blackmail. I became an activist many, many years before I got into politics. I've been an activist for 22 years under Abacha. It couldn't have been because of Ayade. It couldn't have been because of blackmail. What am I blackmailing him for? People are going to Babalawo house to do juju and become commissioners. He is practically begging me to be his commissioner. And I said no. And somebody is saying I'm blackmailing him. Blackmailing him to get what exactly? That is what he needs to tell Nigerians. He is the one blackmailing me with my brother, you are my junior brother, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. That is cheap. You
keep
blackmailing me emotionally.
accusing him of being a liar. What does the governor stand to gain by lying that he supported you to start up Cross River Watch, he supported you to set up this, he supported you to do that? What would he stand to gain?
He wants to go emotional, to whip up emotions, making it look like somebody I've helped.
He says he has WhatsApp records of all these interactions.
If we should ask him for it now, let's open our WhatsApp and let's see who will cry, me and Governor Yade. I challenge him. I'm saying it in public. Let him bring his WhatsApp. Let me bring mine. I have my record. Let's see who will cry. I'm challenging him.
How did the interest of your governor, your brother, coincide with your arrest? I don't want us. We'll not talk of about you know, the reasons you've been arrested, what you've been charged with, and all of that. But I can't help but ask how it happens to coincide.
Well, he has been lying that I was arrested by the federal government because the charges are federal charges. Let me tell you, after...
So, are you saying that you're not really on trial for treason? You're on trial for, you know, how you confronted your governor? Are you saying that's the real reason for your arrest?
Governor Eden knows I didn't do anything. While I was at the police facility, while I was detained at the police facility, they brought a document, they call it Terms of Settlement. Like a handout, and they wrote a lot of things inside. Things that they will give me and things that I will not do. I should go and withdraw that matter from court. They will give me money. I should be commissioner. If I don't sign that document, they will charge me for treason. I was given that option. That's why I stayed there for 34 days. And every day they bring that. Say, I'm not going to, there's nothing on this planet that will make me sign this document. I won't. They know that I didn't do anything. They went to the state DPP, Director of Public Prosecution. His name is Greg Okim. The DPP advised them that there's nothing to charge Agba Jalingo for. They went to the DSS to charge me for treason. The DSS said no, they don't have any evidence. They went to Austin Abolahon, who is now AIG, was the Commissioner of Police in Cross River State, and procured his services to charge me for treason. He accepted the offer and took me to court. I did not do anything. I did not do anything. Governor Ade knows that I did not do anything. It's an attempt to intimidate me, that's all. But I refuse to be intimidated. I am ready for the trial. I became the first person in the history of Nigeria that witnesses were granted leave by the courts to wear masks to come and testify against. But like I said, those issues are in court. I will not talk about them, but I'm ready for my trial. And I believe that the justice system will exonerate me. He knows that I did not do anything. Deep inside his heart, he knows that I didn't do anything.
All right. We'll find out from Governor Yadi if
he knows
did
that
anything
I didn't do anything.
or
He's
not.
just angry that I am dogging after his heels. He's upset about it. He wants me to work for him.
We'll find out.
He wants me to
We'll
work
find
for
out.
him.
Of course,
But
we'd
I
like
won't.
to hear Governor Ben Ayadi's account of what transpired between himself and my guest, Agba Jalingo. What are the lessons that you're taking away from this experience as we coast home?
Okay, let me say something. Let me explain. It's important that I say this. Even the day I was arrested, when the police came to my house in Ogudu, in Alakwarada, the policeman told me clearly that my problem is from Calabar. Do you have any problem with your governor in Calabar? I said, yes, we have been doing back and forth. The commissioner for finance in my state, his name is Asuku Ekpanyo, he came to Lagos. The IGP intelligence response team in Adikeja GRA, Abakiari's office, he came there to arrange, I don't want to use the word pay money, but he came there to arrange the logistics of my arrest. He even called me on the phone. I went for my brother's inauguration, JD Agba in Abuja. He called me, wanted to pull me out to be arrested. And I told him, I'm not a criminal. I'm not going to run away from law enforcement agents. I'm not a thief. It's only criminals that run away from cops. I'm coming back home. And when I come, you will come and arrest me. I will go and defend myself. The chief of staff, I repeat, the governor's chief security officer, Mark Anyogo, and the commissioner for finance, and the governor's younger brother, Frank Ayade, are the people that formed the web who decided, along with the governor, to arrest me. It had nothing to do with the federal government. And I want the public to know that. And they are not done with me yet. They are not done with me yet. Now, talking about the lessons. The lesson I have learned the most is that I should have started criticizing Governor Yadi earlier. I should have not bowed to that sentiment of my brother is from Ogudu. Because even when I saw the early signs, I was still blackmailed by my own emotions. That is my brother. If I knew, I would have started early enough, like I've always done to other governors. Like I've been doing in the past 20 years with my life as an activist. But I was blackmailed by popular sentiment in the state that this man is my brother. And I've learned that we will begin to dog after their heels as early as they hit the ground. If I had done that, I'm sure maybe the picture would have been different. Then secondly, when I got into prison, I also learned that in life, there are occasions when you can find yourself where ants will control the elephant. The life in prison is a different world completely because you see all manner of people who ordinarily cannot talk to you, ordering you around and making you feel so worthless. But those are some of the lessons we need to learn. And then for journalism, I never knew I was this loved by my colleagues. Maybe it wasn't love for Agba Jalingo, it was love for press freedom. But I have become a synonym for press freedom in Nigeria, and I salute the courage of journalists in this country who also use that occasion to rise up, to tell power that we will continue to do our job, whether you like it or not. And then, above all, I've also learned that God will be with you as far as you are doing the right thing. Because if I wasn't doing the right thing, with the bile, the energy, and the annoyance that Governor Yade wants to deal with me, there's no way I would have come out of that place. But I was confident because I knew I was doing the right thing, and I believe in God. And I learned very strongly that if you believe in God and you are doing the right thing, no matter the storms, no matter the forces that are coming against you, God is a bad guy. He always has a way of doing those things and getting you out of that mess. And I think he has used this occasion to teach Governor Yade a lesson.
Interesting. Well, thank you very much, Agba Jalingo, for your time and thoughts on fireworks, and of course for the lessons that you've shared with us.
God bless you. Expect my book, The Pen in Jail. That's the title of the book, and I'm writing it already. It's going to be very salacious. I came out with a lot of pictures from African prison. Life in Africa is below human. And yesterday I heard that they lock up the special cell where I used to stay after seeing their pictures in public. But we'll continue to put pressure on the prison too until the situations there improve. Things they are very, very bad, and I also want to see the situation in prison improve. Some people are getting angry, but that is the price we all have to pay for bringing change.
Yes, thank you very much, Agba Jalingo. And, you know, this has been a very interesting edition. Where do journalists draw the line in their interactions with politicians, and how much would a journalist go through in a bid to stand by the words flowing from his pen? Of course, when you see Agba, you ask him that, as he has shared quite a lot with me. Join us again same time next week when we bring you another interesting edition of the program. I am Bukola Samuel-Wemimo. Bye for now.